So I wanted to share a few verses from Shantideva that I like. I like a lot of them, but this is one that, I can't remember when this was, a couple of years ago. I figured out, this is something I do. And so it's a few verses, but maybe I don't know if I can do it in one session, but I'll start. It's in the chapter on joyous effort or joyous perseverance, and it starts off with, without indulging in despondency, I should gather the supports for enthusiasm and earnestly take control of myself. Then by seeing the equality between self and others, I should practice exchanging self and others. I should never indulge in despondency by entertaining such thoughts as, how shall I ever awaken? For the Tathagatas who speak what is true have uttered this truth. If they develop the strength of their exertion, even those who are flies, mosquitoes, bees, and insects will win the unsurpassable awakening, which is so hard to find. So that's the beginning of it. And what I realized in this, because actually, sure, that thought comes up to me. I mean, this is a long path, and my mind will kind of sink like, this is going to take forever, and I can't do it, and those kind of thoughts. But what I realized about that is this line of indulging in despondency. I think it's actually quite natural, because our causes and conditions, our causes are afflictions and karma, that it's just natural that just like physical ailments come, mental ailments come. That's the way it is. But indulging in them is a whole other thing. It's like you've kind of given in a way. Not even given in. You're deciding to hang out with the affliction, and so that's what I realized I was doing. I was like, I don't know, something about the word indulging. It makes you want to turn away from doing that, especially in indulging in despondency. So I think that what was useful for this was to see that thought that's also from Shantideva was like, we're going to fall down. That's not the problem. The thing you need to do is to get up. And so if you're not getting up, you're staying down, which means there's a reason you're staying down. And one reason can be is because there's something in the mind that is just hanging out with whatever the affliction is. So with this one, then it moves on. It says, and earnestly take control of myself. And so that means that when I think of earnestness, I think that involves some energy, but it also involves some kind of sincerity. And I don't know, I think the thing that the mental factor that for me is the strongest that helps with this is integrity, is realizing that I should respect myself, because I'm trying to hold values which are good values, and I should respect myself for that, even though I can't live up to them. And that thought has been very helpful for my mind, because it's like this same thing that the despondency takes you down, like, oh, how can I ever do this? And you just get kind of bummed out about the lofty goals, I guess you would say, and never living up to them. But that's really the wrong way to take all of this. And so that's why the Buddha goes on and says, even those who are flies, mosquitoes, and bees and insects will win the unsurpassable, which is so hard to find, if they develop the strength of their exertion. So that, is just the wise beings just telling us, don't indulge those states of mind. You have to exert yourself, and you can't just exert yourself willy-nilly. You have to have wisdom, and so that's a process right there. So then the next thought that he goes on to is, so if I do not forsake the Bodhisattva's way of life, why should someone like myself, who has been born in the human race, not attain awakening, since I am able to recognize what's beneficial and what is harm? Well, even these like flies and butterflies and bees, they have some recognition of harm, They don't want to, the gross sufferings they don't want to have, but they don't really have even the capacity, although they have amazing capacities in a lot of ways. If you learn anything about bees and their, like the stuff Will's talked about, insects and their amazing kind of engineering abilities, but they don't have the kind of abilities that we have in terms of recognizing things that relate to our ethical practices. That's a little harder for them to do because things are so hardwired to the level of an instinct. Well, we have a lot of things that we've habituated quite deeply, so that we have to deal with a lot. But even with that, we have the capacity to recognize what's beneficial and what is of harm. So we have, as human beings, we're in the best position to be able to, follow this path, and that's what they're trying to let us know here. And they make this comparison with flies, mosquitoes, bees, and insects, so that we'll kind of wake up, like, wow, if they can do it, it's really put there for a reason. And so there's many stories that the Buddha talks about karma, and many questions were posed to him about why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this person have this circumstance? And because he had an omniscient mind, he could look back and see these things, which are actually not things that unless you had that omniscient mind, you'd be able to recognize. So there's a lot of information there. And so that's why they say, for the Tathagatas who speak what is true, have uttered this truth. So we should pay attention.